All right, YouTube, time for the recap of the day. So it's Monday with no news. There is a FOMC member speaking at 8, but we're not going to count that as news. So it is Monday with no news for me. And obviously it's a cautionary day. We're not going to go crazy today. We're going to kind of let it do its thing and then set the range for the week. But let's see if we can catch a trade, right? So I analyzed this morning, and Friday is our dealing range because it took out the lows and then it took out the high, right? This is a Judas daily candle. So now anything inside of this is going to be internal range, and that's our external points that we are going to be watching for. So it did retrace in the same session on Friday, right? Didn't close down here, just kind of pulled back and created this little bull flag type pattern, if you will. So not really sure what to expect. So we kind of have to let the overnight action develop to see what happens from here. So Asia does retrace that expansion. So this is a really nice retracement. And then the tail end of Asia begins to accumulate, and London expands out of that accumulation. So pre-market, we're putting in this little small retracement of this expansion leg. So now we got some things here, right? We're still internal inside of the dealing range. We're kind of ranging a little bit here, not too much, but the beginning, right? We have a 4-hour sweep that got placed in down here. So this right here is making me not believe that we're going to come straight down to sweep this, because there's already a sweep here and it expanded up. So this retracement, if we're going to continue bullish, should hold and continue us higher, right? So some things to note here that I was thinking about as I was trading is we had a lot of movement here. So this is also kind of like balanced price range, right? It's going to need a lot of volume to get through that. So we need to be careful here. So this is obviously London high, right? So let's go ahead and just mark that really quickly. And then Asia high is up here, right? Leaving a little bit of a gap there as well. So my initial bias is bullish here, and I was looking for a bullish setup. However, I'm already thinking that I need to watch what it does with London high. That's going to be like my key focus, right? Does it even take London high? Does it fail and then get back under the hold flip zone? And what is ES doing here as well? Or does it take London high and then reject, right? Coming back in the range, then I know this will turn into a continuational expansion lower to take out Asia low and possibly previous day low, right? Which aligns with our silver lining level perfectly, right? So that's the bias, right? And we're gonna see if we can't put in a new high of day, right? So that's the game plan coming in for today. Bullish bias, however, with the understanding that it could fail after London high and then come lower. So jumping on the 1 minute, let's go ahead and turn on some of our indicators here. So right off the bat, I'm not really liking what I'm seeing. I like that we're compressing here and getting ready for expansion, but the oscillators and the other indicators aren't really giving me a lot of information here. But it's still early, right? It's still 8:30. So let's go ahead and play this forward a little bit. Right here, 8:45. So let's go ahead and play it forward. So being that there's no news, you have to wait for the open. And 9:14, 9:20. So right here we're approaching the open, right? It's 9:25. Right here was my entry signal. This is what I like to look for in an entry. So as you can see, we are starting to break above the EMAs here, right? In my little proximity box. Use that as a gauge. So if it matches my bias, and I know that this could be the where it expands from, right on that candle, it turns lime green. And what does that mean? That means it flipped bullish right there. And I also have bullish volume coming in. And this oscillator is semi-conducive to longs. They're all converged at the top, meaning it's bearish, but it could also mean extreme bullishness if it runs. And you'll see that on any oscillator when it's just a high resistance grind higher, right? You'll see that type of scenario. The high time frame candles support bullish structure for now, right? We have bullish high time frame swings on the 15-minute with continuational candles. Not really the sweep that I'm looking for on the H1, right? I want this candle to close above to create a nice clean swing, but this is a swing formation nonetheless. And it closed bullish here. So this candle I can presume to be a continuational bullish candle. Then the 4-hour placed a nice clean sweep and a nice clean 2 a.m. candle. So this 6 a.m. candle should be a continuation candle higher. So things kind of align right here. So I felt pretty safe, and to put not my usual stop, but a much tighter stop under these lows here. So right here we're getting close to the open, and then 3 more candles, nice reaction, and then we get our opening candle. So this is all good right here, perfect, right, just before the open. And mind you, I'm already in on this candle, so let me go ahead and put a line there. That is my entry, right? And I'm watching this yellow line because that is London high to see what it does. My target was here, the initial high of day, which is where Asia high is, right? And then a possible runner for previous day high if it did just kind of grind up there. So the opening candle was a beautiful candle, lots of bullish volume. Obviously, it takes London high, doesn't quite reach up there, but then starts pulling back. I already took a partial right there because it took London high, right? Now I'm at break even. So I already paid myself. Now I want to see what happens right here at London high, right? Does it continue or does it struggle and begin to fail? So I'm already break even. This pullback did not take me out break even, but I'm already telling myself if it takes me out break even, it is what it is. I took a partial. I'm just not going to be clean today, right? Very next candle, it pushes back up. So I moved my stop higher, and now I'm like, okay, these next candles, the next series of candles needs to continue off that displacement and push higher. I don't want to see it struggle or reject, because plan B of our bias is more than likely going to take effect if we struggle here and accumulate. So right, this next candle, it's kind of neutral. I'm not really too concerned about it. Then now I can see the beginnings of an accumulation, and it's struggling. A lot of manipulation wicks are forming, and it's struggling to move higher at this point. So I believe it was either that candle, yeah. So that candle, not the one that's here, the previous one, I believe I closed the trade. I just closed it out. Didn't like this structure. I don't want a pullback. I want continuational movement higher. And because I had that plan B that it would come down, I just took my gains off the table, and now I'm out the trade, but with profit, right? Instead of letting it come and take me out break even. Now it starts to reject even further, and I'm already out the trade on this candle here. and it begins to push up, but I'm not going to chase this now, right? I'm already out the trade, and this is beginning to look bearish because it's struggling. Strength flipped bearish on that candle previous to this one, even though it's punching higher. It is actually flipped bearish now. So now it's not conducive to any, even a continuation entry or anything like that. I am looking at this now as an inducement, and I'm out, right? I need to let this thing develop more in order for me to see what's going on. It displaces down and rejects, but it's still inside of this range here. And this next candle would be an entry candle for short, but that's very large, right? That's like an 80 point something candle. It's just too large for my stop. Now we have bearish high time frame swings. We have an accumulation range that popped up, and then we also have manipulation of that, very clear, right? So we're more than likely going to do plan B, which is distribute lower and take out lows. So we've broken all the EMAs and got caught up at VWAP here. However, just too large of a candle, can't enter in there. So what I want to see is it punch down and then punch back up in here, which it does end up doing. So here I'm expecting this pop back up. All right, so perfect pop up into this fair value gap, right? And a lot of people may have jumped in short there. I don't like to jump in like that. I want to see a continued move or rejection, a nice clear rejection from here as confirmation. I used to trade similar to what the ICT traders do, is when it comes back into the zone, then you automatically short, stop at the high, right? But I was getting caught in too many traps using that method, right? It only works when the market is on your side, right? When the high time frame market structure supports that move, then it works. There's a lot of times where this is used as a trap and then it sweeps one more time, things like that. So I'm not going to enter as it touches here. Now I wait for a nice rejection out of there, and it kind of starts pulling back a little bit choppy in here. This isn't the reaction I'm looking for out of that to show me that it's really wants to move bearish. So at this point, I don't like the setup. I don't like anything about it, even though I know it's more than likely going to come lower. ES and YM are punching lower. NQ is being a little bit more stubborn. And right here is where I decide to just let it go and check out, right? This reaction is what I'm looking for, a little bit higher up here. However, this would be an entry. This is where all the indicators align. It's all present right here. We have our bearish structure. We're rejecting from the hold flip zone. We have manipulation up here, and we should expect distribution. This oscillator's converged at the bottom, which also means extreme bearishness, even though that's where you would want it for longs. We have our red dot here, meaning it flipped bearish, and we have bearish volume coming in right there. But again, same scenario as this candle. It was just too large of a stop. I would need to put my stop up here, and that is almost 87 points. That's just too big for my stop. So I want to see if it don't punch up higher and then reject, and it just gets choppy from there, and it punches up again. So that would be, I measured it, that would be very close to where my stop would be or could allow. Typically, I don't even know if that would have taken me out to the tick or not. Obviously I didn't enter, but I want to see, a nice rejection. But at this point, I'm not messing with this. This is very choppy. I don't like it. If someone entered in here, that's all great. You entered in on the fair value gap and it rejected out. That's perfectly fine. And you just hold it and it distributes lower, right? I just don't trade that way. So Takes out Asia low, and then obviously you can see it took out previous day low, and it just didn't give me the entry that I'm looking for. It did, but they were just too big for me to take, right? To pause. But they were the candles were just too large for my stop loss, right? So I had to leave it alone. I have to let it go, right? I'm not gonna sit here and chase. And then it did provide an entry here that is more conducive for my stop, right? I could even put my stop there and it'd be okay. It bounced off the EMAs and I got my continuation signal right here and a nice rejection. And even though that still allows for another 100 points, I've already decided I'm not trading anymore, right? It's Monday. I didn't find my entry up here. And if I'm not up here, I typically won't chase a move, right? So, but it did punch in another little opportunity on the back end there. Let's take a look at ES really quickly before I let you guys go. ES was really clean as far as the shorts go. Don't mind the proximity box. I would have to change the numbers for ES for it to pop up perfectly. But as you can see, it manipulates higher, and right from that higher movement, this orange or dark orange candle is the entry. Everything that I would need for entry is present. We have our bearish major big wick on the 15-minute, right? It's not really a bearish swing yet until it comes lower. Same thing with the 1 hour and the 4 hour. However, you can see that if it does reject, it's going to create those bearish high time frame swings. It was a nice displacement candle. As you can see, the oscillator is conducive for shorts. This is exactly what you want it to look like when you're looking for shorts. It flipped bearish right on that candle, and it's confirmed here. And we have bearish volume coming in. That is the setup to a T of an entry that I'm going to look for and enter in on. And it's right at the beginning of the move, which is what I like, right? So you know you can enter and put your stop at the high, and you have an inversion here as well to protect your stop, and it just moves beautifully, closes below all the EMAs, rejects from the hold flip zone, and just kind of moves very nicely towards previous day low, matching our silver lining level. Beautiful trade. But I wasn't watching ES, I was watching NQ. So had I been watching ES, this would have been a really nice trade to take. But yeah, that's it. That's today's recap. Small win on NQ. Some other people may have been able to do a lot better. You know, people that enter in on a fair value gap and took this short entry and just held it would have done very nicely. I need a nice rejection from there to show me that for confirmation, right? You know, I just been caught in too many trades in the past, just entering in on a top of a fair value gap like that. So I'd rather just wait for it to be cleaner, right? So that's pretty much it. Let me know anything in the comments, and like and subscribe for more.